Decades. Why suddenly am I obsessed with the idea of decades? And why am I pushing so hard not to flip back too far in my life's calendar years? Surely this last decade and the previous two have been happy. I found my soulmate, married him. We not only love each other, we actually get along. Yet my mind is delving down into past decades, into shadows that fall upon me still and wake me, shaking in my bed. I keep trying to fit the decades puzzle together, discover why am I so fixated and yet blocking something of terrible urgency? Why do I propel myself back to my childhood, to my best friend, Joanne? Surely she could not have been the cause of my heart hammering midnight terrors. Joanne and I were inseparable. Together we braved our young world on bikes, roller skates, and ice skates. In winter we sled down our steep street, which ended at the Hudson River, our sleds sliding onto the ice. We trick-or-treated in homemade costumes on Halloween. We rang doorbells and ran away on doorbell night. And were mischievous, playing truth or dare with the rest of the gang on the street. We did anything to stay outdoors and avoid going home. Joanne and I were very different. She was beautiful, I was skinny and wore glasses. She was great at sports, I kept up. Joanne was cool, steady, I was hot-headed, impulsive. Joanne felt herself to be weak and perceived me as strong. I thrived in her companionship. Joanne had 3 sisters, a mother who was an angel and a father who was a drunk. They lived in a dilapidated house. The roof leaked and large pots stood ready on the kitchen floor to catch the rain. There was no hot water. The kitchen had only a refrigerator and a hot plate. Far below in the basement, there was the black coal stove which sat like an ugly troll, spewing coal dust all over the house. Yet, I preferred to be in Joanne's disordered household with the hustle-bustle of the pretty sisters and the constant chatter of the TV than in my parents' dark apartment across the street. My family's apartment had 2 rooms. One was a dining room art studio for my father's artwork. The other was the family bedroom. I slept with my mother in a large bed, and my father slept in the corner of the room, separated by a large, dark mahogany bureau as an improvised room divider. Both the dining room and the bedroom were in perpetual darkness and crowded with furniture. This small, dark place was my family's 6th apartment in Nyack, New York, since we immigrated to the United States in 1950 from the Russian refugee camp in Germany, where I was born. My father, the Russian baron, was ill with mysterious illnesses and couldn't work. My mother worked in sewing machine sweatshops and was exhausted, self-medicating with vodka, Dexamyl, and cigarettes. There was never enough money. The dark apartment was an inversion of despair. One sunny day, Joanne and I returned from school, parted company, and planned to meet up later. I was walking up the stairs to my apartment when I heard the screaming. I ran into the kitchen and found my mother thrashing her hands in the sink. She had broken all the glasses and dishes. The sink ran pink with blood. She turned to me, raised her arms in the air, blood running down between her fingers, spilling onto the floor, and she was screaming in Russian, "Kuda moya жизнь пропала? Where did my life go?" In that moment, a fear gripped my heart that stayed with me for decades. I dropped my books on the stairs and fled on the street. I fled the violence, the sickness, the sadness, the darkness, and ran to Joanne's shanty, hoping to catch a cartoon on TV. I was 10 years old.